the importance of the green land in modern-day warfare and why the USA is so covetous about it. Watch this.
The United States already controls one of the most powerful military air bases on Earth. It sits on Greenland, and it can see a nuclear attack coming before almost anyone else. So when Donald Trump says the United States needs Greenland for national security,
we need Greenland.
It sounds outrageous. It sounds like politics. But this story isn't about politics. It's about airspace, missiles, and who controls the Arctic sky. And this is why Trump keeps coming back to Greenland.
We need it for strategic national security and international security.
Because Greenland already gives the United States something no aircraft carrier, no alliance, and no treaty can ever guarantee forever: permanent control of the Arctic sky. Because long before Trump ever talked about Greenland, the US military was already there, quietly, permanently, and for a reason most people never think about. Greenland looks empty on a map, a frozen island at the edge of the world. But strategically, it sits in one of the most important positions on Earth, between North America and Europe, directly beneath the shortest flight path between the United States and Russia. The Arctic isn't a shortcut, it's the front door. And right in the middle of it is a US military installation most people have never heard of. It's called Pituffik Space Base, formerly known as Thule Air Base. This base was built during the Cold War, when the United States realized something terrifying. If Soviet missiles were ever launched toward America, they wouldn't come across the Atlantic, they would come over the pole, the Arctic, which meant whoever controlled the Arctic skies would see the attack first. Pituffik became that early warning system. Its massive radar installations were designed to detect ballistic missiles minutes after launch. Those minutes are the difference between survival and total surprise. And even today, that mission hasn't changed. Pituffik tracks missile launches, monitors space activity, and feeds real-time data into America's nuclear defense network. If something leaves the atmosphere or re-enters it at speed, this base knows. That alone would make Greenland important, but that's only part of the picture. Because Pituffik isn't just a radar site, it's also a strategic air hub in one of the harshest environments on Earth. The runways are long, reinforced, and designed for extreme cold operations. Heavy aircraft can land here, tankers, transports, and most importantly, long-range bombers. Aircraft like the B-2 Spirit and its replacement, the B-21 Raider. These aircraft don't operate like normal jets. They rely on distance, stealth, and unpredictable routing. And the Arctic gives them exactly that. From Greenland, US bombers can approach Europe, Russia, and the high Arctic without flying predictable paths. They can refuel in polar airspace, stage through remote corridors, and remain almost impossible to track. In modern warfare, unpredictability is power. This is why Greenland matters more now than it did during the Cold War. Because the Arctic is changing. Ice is melting, new shipping lanes are opening, new flight routes are becoming viable, and military competition is moving north. Russia has reopened and expanded its Arctic military bases, long runways, air defense systems, bomber staging areas. China, despite not being an Arctic nation, now calls itself a near-Arctic power. It's building icebreakers, launching polar satellites, and positioning itself for future access. The Arctic is no longer empty, it's contested. And in that contest, Greenland is the high ground. So when Trump talks about Greenland, he isn't talking about ice. He's talking about permanence, control without conquest, access without invasion. He has publicly ruled out using military force. And despite the headlines, there's no serious plan to invade or occupy Greenland. That would be politically impossible and catastrophic for NATO. Denmark, which governs Greenland, has made one thing very clear: Greenland is not for sale. Greenlanders themselves insist their future is their decision alone. So what's actually being discussed? Not ownership, influence, long-term basing rights, expanded infrastructure, guaranteed access for U.S. forces as the Arctic becomes more militarized. In other words, making sure the United States never has to leave. Because once you lose access to a place like Greenland, you don't get it back easily. This is why Denmark says no. Not because it doesn't understand the threat, but because sovereignty matters. Greenland is already part of NATO's security framework. Allowing one ally to dominate it outright would change the balance inside the alliance itself. And that balance is already under strain. So where does that leave things? Exactly where they've always been. The United States will remain in Greenland. Its radars will keep watching the skies. Its aircraft will keep using Arctic corridors. And the island will keep sitting at the center of modern deterrence. Greenland isn't a frozen backwater. It's where space, air power, and nuclear strategy intersect. And as the Arctic opens up, its importance only grows. This isn't about headlines, it's about geography. Because Greenland isn't just ice on a map. It's where missile warning, stealth bombers, and space surveillance all collide. And what happens there won't make headlines until it's already too late.